everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Amira. I've been making these really beautiful bookmarks that are really like hidden paper clips, and I've been making them in like a vintage kind of feel because I have been writing my little story. If you've been following The Floor of Rose, I've kind of been really enjoying that and developing that story some more, and so what I've done is just made some bookmarks. Just showing you the back here. I've put a little, little pocket that you can put things in, and I've just loved making them so much that I've kept on going. I did use my sewing machine, and I'm just showing you here that the way I did it was open on both sides so that you can move the paper clip so that you can either attach it on the left hand side of a book or the right hand side of a book. So I'm just showing you here. I moved the paper clip so that you can add it to the left page, and it looks really nice. And just taking the paper clip out, putting it on the other side, and you can add it to the right hand side page. So I showed these on my Instagram and Facebook page, and a few people have asked for a tutorial, so I thought I'd come on and show you how easy it is to make one of these. All you really need is one 12 by 12 sheet of craft cardstock. You also need some book pages, some vellum, or if you don't have vellum, what I have also used is this is wax paper. I have like 10 rolls of this stuff. I don't know what I'm ever going to do with it. So wax paper will also work. Similarly, baking paper will also work if you don't have vellum. I'm using some VersaFine sepia. This is just for inking the edges. You'll also need some paper clips, and that really is the basis. And then when we get to decorating, I'll let you know what else you need. So let's get started. So this one sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock will yield quite a few. You're going to cut it at 4 inches, and then you're going to turn it over and cut it at 2.5. So from this one sheet, you're going to get quite a few bookmarks. You'll have this one little piece left over. Keep that because that's going to be the bit on the edge. So go ahead and cut down as many as you want. I just did as many as the sheet will give me. So one piece of 12 by 12 will yield 12 bookmarks to make. Next thing is just get some of your book pages. Now I'm just removing just the edges there because I want the writing to go all the way to the edge. I'm not being too particular. I like the ragged look on the edge. And basically I'm just doing it as you see, just enough book page to cover the center of each of the cardstock. After you've done that, you're going to do the same thing with your vellum pieces or your wax paper pieces. Go ahead and cut about 4 inch by 2.5 to cover over your bookmark. If you want to do a little less, that's fine too. And the jagged edges also gives that vintage feeling. I did some with vellum and I did some with wax paper. You'll see the difference in the styles in just a moment. So at this stage now, I would ask you to go ahead and ink the edges of your book paper before you go ahead and stick it down. I started sticking it down first, then I realized my error. So I would say at this stage, ink the book pages first before you glue them down. So what I'm doing next is I'm crumpling up the wax paper. I didn't do this with the vellum. The crinkling of the wax paper is nice because it kind of provides like a texture and a little bit of a glassine look, which is why I kind of chose the wax paper over the baking paper. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and ink over the wax paper, and it's going to like pick up the crinkling, and it gives it a nice effect. But it would have been nice to ink the edges of the book paper underneath, which is why I said ink that first, but I do it in subsequent bookmarks. But it doesn't really matter. It looks great anyway, so if you forget to do it, it's not a problem. And what I'm doing here is I'm also inking up the edges of the cardstock. So that is one style of bookmark that I made. Next, I want you to think about a focal image that you're going to put on. Now, I'm using the Maggie Holmes Flourish pad, and whatever pad you choose, I want you to find a page that has small icons like this page here. Like I'm just showing you here, you could use the butterflies or the insects. I've chosen this page of flowers that look like they're washi taped down. I actually love this. I love Maggie Holmes, but this is like my favorite page out of the whole pad. So what I'm doing is I'm just ripping up little sections of the flowers, and I love that ragged or the jagged edge look as well. So I don't want to use my scissors and I don't want to use my trimmer. I'm going to add one floral piece on each bookmark. So I just wanted to show you here, this is the second style where I use the vellum. What I did was I inked up the book pages, inked up the vellum, and then put a strip of double-sided sticky tape up the top and attached the vellum just at the top there so that the vellum can be like a second layer that you can put things underneath, which is what I did in one of the earlier bookmarks that I did as a sample. So once you've reached the stage where you've inked and added all your little icons, I went ahead and grabbed some calico, and I measured strips of 1 inch high by 5 inches across, and cut one for each of the bookmarks. And originally what I did was I actually sewed these with my sewing machine, but I am going to do a few now without any sewing, just to show you how easy it is to do, just in case someone doesn't have a sewing machine or doesn't want to bother with a sewing machine. So all I did was I added 2 strips of double-sided sticky tape, and then all I'm doing here is I'm just ruching the calico so that it looks a little bit gathered at the top there, and I think it gives it such a beautiful look. And all I'm doing here is I'm using the point of my scissors just to ruffle up the edge there and just give it a little bit more fiber, which I actually do love that frayed look. The next step is just to choose a little bit of ribbon that matches the focal point that you've put down. I've used this pink one to pick out the pink of the flower. And once again, all you need to do is add a little bit of double-sided glue, or I'm using PVA glue here. In the original one that I used, I did go back to my sewing machine and sew that down, but you don't need that. You can just easily use glue. With this one, this wax paper one, I didn't stick it down and I didn't crinkle it up, so you can go underneath it and add anything else that you want to, or you can stick it down as I showed you in the first bits. It's really up to you. It's your style, and yeah, just do whatever makes you comfortable. I just showed you here that I did try to use PVA glue to ruche it up, and it didn't work for me. I think that definitely using that double-sided tape is better for the ruching effect. And I'm just showing you here that you can, choose any type of ribbon. It all works. Brown works for the color of the craft cardstock. Green works with the color of the fern that I used there. Really up to you, whatever you want to do. I have heaps of ribbon in my stash, and I'm just trying to think of ways to use up all the things I have in my craft room at the moment. Now the next thing you can do is, once again, I'm just using a little bit of lace here, and I thought I would add just a little bit of lace there in the corner. I thought that this butterfly looked really cute, but it was just a little bit too big, and so I decided to use a smaller one, and you can put that down with PVA, or I just used a stapler, and I kind of like that extra metallic texture that it added. So in true assembly line fashion, all I'm doing here is I'm just going through, I ran some of the calico through my sewing machine off camera, and I'm just picking out colors of ribbon to choose the focal image, and then I'm going to add some lace to some, and leave some without lace as well, just to make a little bit of variety. So I'm at this stage now where I'm just showing you where we're at. So the calico's down, the ribbon is down, and I've done all 12. You can definitely stop at this stage. I think it looks really lovely. All you need to do is add like a quote and then you're done. But I thought I would go one more step. I have these stickers that I bought off AliExpress. Some of them are Van Gogh, some of them are other art pieces that I don't really recognize, but I think they're beautiful. So what I thought I would do is try to add them. Once again, I'm trying to use up some of my stash. I've just got so much of everything and I just seem to be hoarding, and I've made a decision to stop hoarding. And the only way I can do that is to use up what I've got. So I quite like this. I love the yellow floral and it picks up from the yellow Starry Starry Night piece. So I go into my Tim Holtz stickers and it says the stars are always shining, and it just seems so perfect. So that one is done. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through these stickers now, finding ones that just seem to match the flowers and the colors of the ribbon, and I'm going to go ahead and add one more element to these bookmarks. I've got yet another box of stickers. This is full postage stamps. Love postage stamps. And I just inked around the edges there, and yeah, adding a postage stamp to anything really just makes it amazing in my eyes. So these are the quickest and most pleasing to make for me. I found an old school picture of my son in one of my old purses, and so I put that in, and I'm just going to put that in and that's going to be my own personal bookmark in my reading book. So this one's my most favorite of all. So beautiful. My son is 16 now, so this was like a blast from the past. It's so cute. So once you've had your fun with decorating your bookmarks, it's now time to add the hidden paperclip. So remember the extra bits that we cut at the very beginning that were left over after you'd done your 4 by 2.5. You're now going to cut these in, let's say, approximately 2 inches wide by 1.5 inches high, just enough so that the paper clip can slip in. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to add hot glue to the top and the bottom, okay? This is if you don't want to do a sewing method. Otherwise, just go ahead and take it to your sewing machine and run a stitch along the top and the bottom. Otherwise, go ahead and use your hot glue gun. Now, what I did here was I made a mistake and I did the hot glue gun on all 3 sides. This prevents you from being able to move the paper clip from the left page to the right page. So if you want to do just the one page, that's fine, go on all 3 corners. But if you want to be able to use that paper clip on both sides, go ahead and run a bead of hot glue along the top and along the bottom. And I'm just going to do that again here to show you the right way of how to apply the glue. So I'm just going to speed through this now, and that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm going to add the paper clip to the back of these, and in the end I'm just going to leave the last 2, which what I'll end up doing is running them through my sewing machine because those are the 2 that I'm using in my writing notebook at the moment. Here we go, just showing you now that stitching along the back and just showing you that you're able to pull the paper clip out and in and put it on whichever side you want. So that is basically it. This is my hidden paperclip bookmark method. I hope it gives you some inspiration. These are really great projects for, sometimes you you want to do something, but you don't want to make a big project that'll take days and days, go ahead and just grab some of your scraps and sit down and gather some of your ephemera and your ribbons, and just sit down and have a really good time and use up some of the stash that I know we all have in our craft room. So thank you so much for joining me, everybody, and I'll see you in my next video.